We are just all set. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, Fantabulous Friday. Who doesn't like Fantabulous Friday? A lot of people like it for the weekend. Then I guess there's a lot of weird weather going on. But anyways, good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, live with Two
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva. Excuse me, 5.0. And in the Northeast, obviously monitoring the weather. The storm has taken more of a track west, which means we will be getting a lot of flipping snow. So run out there and get your bread and milk and whatever else you may need. If the way I look at it, if I don't have it now, it is what it is. Don't really need anything. Do I want things? Well, of course, but worst comes to worst and I get the munchies, there's always popcorn, I maybe have that once a month. So you have to do what you feel you need to do when preparing for a storm. And the other, some weird noises over there. Sorry, I thought it was one of the dogs doing something that they should not be doing. The weird thing too about always preparing for a storm, excuse me, is like your shovels and all your cold weather gear and just having all that stuff ready and prepared. One thing that came yesterday, which Gary has been patiently waiting for, are his slippers from My Pillow. I had oh my God, it was like a little kid when the box arrived. He's like, I got this, we got this box. I think it may be for me. So cute, his reaction to finally receiving his Christmas gift. I had ordered the wrong size. I was thinking one size, but it was incorrect. And he's just like a happy camper. But I explicitly told him that he will not be wearing those out in the cold weather. Apparently, these are slippers that you can wear anywhere and everywhere. Obviously, if we're expecting a foot or two of snow, that will not be the case. So we're bundled up here and ready to go.
Wow, that storms are going to come. So you can't get around that. And actually, this is probably the biggest storm you guys have had to date in this season. Florida is experiencing some cooler temps. But you just kind of go with the flow and, bundle up where you can. I love the idea of, I saw the advertisement on the slippers. And they did talk about where you could go, they're so comfortable, you can wear them indoors and outdoors because of the sole. That freaks me out a little bit, just because, I like slippers to be my warm, fuzzy, at-home comfort zone. And obviously when you go out in the public, and you would be surprised the gunk that actually gets on your shoes. John and I are in a habit now, actually more he's in the habit of whatever shoes we wear out on the courts or wherever we're at, he takes a Lysol wipe and just wipes it off because, you step in gum, you got construction workers and they're just in all kinds of environmental stuff. And it's just normal. I mean, the bottom of your soles are dirty. They're gross. So, excuse me, I am one who likes to reserve them. Now, obviously, maybe within your own neighborhood or something, or if you're running from point A to point B, maybe in your garage, whatever it may be. It's whatever you float your boat. But, people would be surprised on how dirty. There's a few things that people, they get alarmed on certain things, but then they don't get like flabbergasted over others. And to me, it's cell phone cases, your pocketbook, and the bottom of your shoes that you really need to take notice, and because a lot of germs are on your phone, a lot of germs are on your pocketbook because you're putting it down, you're putting it on down different surfaces. So it's okay to take a little Lysol or something to wipe them off, get them nice and clean. And there's organic wipes that you can use if you don't want to constantly use the chemical ones. I get that. but always just be mindful of that. But it is Fantabulous Friday, and regardless of what weather is on your way, you know, where your mind is, how you, you know, succeeded, how you didn't succeed. Friday is a day to celebrate you, celebrate your wins. And you do have wins. You do have them, even though you feel maybe that your week derailed, maybe you didn't accomplish, maybe you were sidebarred by, you know, an illness. Doesn't matter. There are always wins. Don't you think, Jen?
There are always wins. And, you know, especially, you know, there's a lot of, I have a lot of my friends that are into the astrology and holistic type of matters. And from what I understand, Mercury retrograde, and I don't understand all that stuff, but apparently it is way out of whack.
Yes, I heard that too.
And there are some technical issues that I need to take care of that, you know, weren't there when they were initially uploaded. And then all of a sudden there's this weird stuff going on. So, you know, that's something that I will work on today. But in figuring out stuff, you know, I think it's all a strategic, almost like a strategic back plan. Like, for instance, I'm trying to learn more about Pinterest. So I started a Pinterest page for my VA business, you know, and how to create the pins and what's most effective and that type of thing. And through learning that, you know, I was able to find this different, what do they call it, like a challenge coming up, so that I can learn more about that, not only apply to my business, but, you know, with TwoSistas, I want to eventually do that for. So there's a lot of that figuring out what you think that you can't, but then it comes to fruition. And then, of course, going back to setting up some other tech issues and finding out that, well, why don't I just stick with what I am comfortable with versus looking kind of outside the box. Now, I'm not saying don't look outside of the box, but like challenge yourself to look outside of the box, but don't overstimulate what you're doing. Like getting a product out or getting something out doesn't have to be complicated. So when I get to that point, I ask myself those questions. Is what I'm doing going to benefit me in either business? And am I putting too much emphasis in it? So then I always go back to, well, I can do it this way and I'm more comfortable doing it this way. So it may not be technically, I guess, the best way. Whoops. But, you know, that's how you work through those different things that come up. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It's kind of a techie kind of weekend. My comb is like pulling on my head over here. Hold on for just 1 second. I'm going to pull my.
No worries. And I like that analogy. And, you know, we all have to figure out, not everyone fits in the same 4 pegs, the same box, the same circle. You know, we have to adapt certain situations for whatever we are being impacted with. But I am super excited to announce that I am going to be part of a series, which, as most of you know, we've been fighting a school district regarding the school committee, regarding administration, curriculum, CRT, mandates, all that encompasses, which so many from the national perspective has also been dealing with. And we're going to be doing a series, myself and a mom, and it's on a Patriot Network type network. I have to get all the information out, and we will be broadcasting it. And TwoSistas will be part of the transmission, because the way that they do it is they can have up to 8 platforms live at the same time. So again, Jan handles all the technical piece to it. I don't. So she'll be handling some of that, but it's going to be an interesting series to really showcase that it's just everyday people fighting for the rights of children. The children do not have a voice in these situations. It's really up to the adults to have some common sense values to make sure that your school district is in line with your family values, in line with your community values, and how you go about challenging them in a respectful way, excuse me, in a respectful way, but also being on point, not accepting the pushback, not accepting the closed mind, not accepting the bias filtration that comes out, sadly, when you have elected officials. Part of taking an oath when you take on a position like that is remembering that, yes, you have personal biases. Everybody does. That goes without saying. But when you're elected to represent a group in abundance, your mind has to be open-minded to that. It doesn't mean you don't have to stay true to your beliefs, but you also have to be willing to go outside of the box to make sure that you're representing all. And sadly, a lot of these school committees are not. And, the other big piece to this that a lot of people don't realize is government corruption, where obviously we've seen a lot of that. You're seeing a lot of that now with all these leaked videos of our government actually abandoning Americans by secretly moving individuals that are illegals through airspace, through small, small airports, trying to go undetected. If you haven't seen it yet, it's out there. And what happens is, and with local government, sometimes the focus is on the national spotlight, where there's things that are going on that we're forgetting that, guess what happens? It starts at the local government. And if you have a local government that is trying to impede your rights as an individual, to do a recall, to sabotage, to mislead, these are all things that need to be called out. And a lot of people don't realize, and this is one of the things that we're going to showcase, is how you go about doing this, because it's not an easy job. Most people do not have a legal background, right? Some people don't know, what is the protocol? The first thing that we're going to share with you is basically the basics of what to look for, and then some basic steps on how to go about inquiring what a school board is up to, a school committee, an administration. Because the bottom line is, a lot of people don't realize, in a public school, the taxpayers own the building. So that is what it is. The taxpayers pay for everything. They are assessed taxes every year based on their property, but also based on the school system is another segment of it. So do not think that you're out of your element to question. Now, that does not mean, and we will go over that, doesn't mean going in disrespectful, rude, yelling, and screaming. You can go all in passionately. That's what we've done. And you can still get your point across. But, I always say, always treat others the way you are treated. Now, you cannot own what someone else or how they treat you or how you receive, but you do own how you react from whatever they're doing. You do own the actions that you take, the next steps, if you're not getting where you want to be. So we're really excited about this. We are obviously, for most people that understand, we are with one town anyways. It's a regional district that is doing the recall. We're still getting pushback from the other town and a few other little legalities, but we're determined to not get derailed, to do our best. And ultimately, we didn't accept the pushback. We knew something was wrong, and we took action. So I'm excited about that.
That's a really good thing, because when we gather to take action, obviously there's more substantiation when parents, grandparents get together and fight for a specific cause or work towards something. Sometimes going in with the best intentions often leads to other things down the road, things that pop up that, were, not, you didn't even realize that it was in the forecast of what was transpiring, yet other things tend to come up when doing with that. And, how to strategically and respectfully, excuse me, and respectfully deal with something. And yesterday I had mentioned something about making a comment or, kind of turning the tides a little bit on what's happening in our world today. And there's a lot I could say about it, and I could probably talk about it for hours, but I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. My take or my opinion, and this is not necessarily the opinion of TwoSistas, so I want to be clear on that. If we are not securing our own borders with, what's happening in the world today, and why are we fighting, or why are we potentially going to be involved with a conflict when we have so much conflict at home? And I guess in a roundabout way to what I'm trying to say, we have open borders. We've had the number is like over 2 million now, everything that's coming into the United States, the fentanyl, our border is not secure. So that is just my concern or my comment. Like, I think we need to deal with the shit that's going on here in the US. Yeah, we've got to keep an eye on other things happening around us. So that's just kind of my take on all that. I've had to kind of, because there's a point where it's not that I obsess about it, but when you hear it on radio, you hear it on the TV, and it just like, I got to give myself a break. So that's kind of where I am with all that, and just wanted to share it because I did mention that yesterday that I wanted to make a comment on that. Just my take.
No, I agree. I'm actually just trying to get the name of the news outlet that she uses, because what happens is we go on one platform, and then we're going to actually be live on 8 platforms. It's some sort of Patriot network. I'm not exactly sure. Hopefully we'll get that information before we get done with our live today, but it will be broadcasted. And it really is going to be basic steps, 1, 2, 3, how to get started, how to ask the questions, different basic avenues that most people do not know. I mean, it really starts with, maybe a child coming home and saying something. Maybe you get that weird newsletter, an email. Maybe you're asked to opt into some sort of sex ed program. Maybe it's a poll your child is taking. Maybe it's you're hearing that some of these national books that are in a lot of different school libraries that are very inappropriate, very graphically outrageous for any student to be witnessing. And, when we talk about the piece, it's not about banning books. It's about time and place. Some things are appropriate for certain age groups, sometimes not. And with a K through high school program, most children, not all, most do have a sibling, and it's usually a younger sibling for the most part. And do you want to give me, for instance, do you want your, say, 14, 15, 13-year-old coming home with a book that is a cartoon of all the how-tos of how to give oral sex, how to pleasure oneself, how to perform different acts with different people? Those are very explicit, private conversations that a parent would like to be the first one to introduce sexual education to. It's also a parental right. And can you imagine, again, if you flip through a book and you say, oh, it's like a cartoon book, and you get, a younger child opening up a page that is extremely inappropriate. These are things that sadly you have to think outside you have to look outside the box. So that's just one aspect of it. Going about, requesting a public record, going about the proper chain of what are your rules and regulations within your district to make a formal complaint. What is the role of your school committee? Who do they have oversight? Who has oversight of the school? Superintendent, the assistant, the principals. So there's a whole gamut of things that most parents just don't know. And it's okay not to just know. But sadly, in order to change what's going on nationally, you got to start at the local level. You got to start asking the questions. And I think too many local levels have been going undetected with inappropriate ways of doing things. And I'm not saying all, and I'm not saying either one of these particular district we're doing doing things. What I will say is that we do have public records that support that there were some underlining backdooring and unlawful acts, and you can't do that. It goes against our Bill of Rights. And so a lot of people, I get calls and messages about this all the time regarding, like, how did you do that? Like, you know, did you take a course? Did you? No, you know, it was basically just following the lead of and connecting, excuse me, with other individuals that were going through this. So other different school committees that were going through this. I tap into too many resources and learned on the way. And that's usually how most parents, grandparents, stakeholders, that's how they do it. So it's really kind of hard, the hard knocks of knowing the outside of what you need to know about the inside. Most people just, you know, they have that rite of passage. Their child goes to school, they get full trust. Those days are long gone. You have to start questioning, because this garbage of comprehensive sex education, sexualizing our children, school committees having an indifference and or their own personal bias, and that's why they're not being open-minded to hear their constituents' concerns, and they frequently pass the buck. You have a lot of people, like in this particular school district, you have 2 school board members that combined have over 72 years. 72 years. Things have changed, and they're not willing to understand the velocity. They think it's the good old, you know, good old school days, and that is not true anymore. And a lot of times it's, they don't want to deal with it. They're too tired. Well, that's why you need fresh eyes, fresh experience, fresh people that are going to ask the questions to the administration. You can't, you know, the administration falls under the purview of a school committee, and it's up to the school committee to ask the questions. But if they're not doing that, and then it's being noticed by the district's families, and the district then starts coming to say, wait a minute, well, you know, we don't agree with this. Why aren't you fighting for us? Why aren't you asking the question? Well, it's out of our hands. It's excuse after excuse. If you find that you're in that position, that's all you're getting excuses, it's time to make change. And the only way that you make change is to incite other people to understand the value of serving a community, the value of being the voice for those that don't have a voice, which is the children. And goes back to just getting involved, because this impacts everyone. It doesn't just impact those that have children in school. And that's the biggest myth with all of this. Everyone has a vested interest in a child's public education. Everyone. I don't care whether you have a child in school, whether you have a grandchild in school, whether your children are long gone. These are the future of the future generations of who is going to run our country, who's going to be that local board of selectmen, who's going to be that local board of health, that attorney, that grocery manager, that trucker. These are the future. And unless you really take homage in knowing that and making sure that all children, regardless of relationship to you, is getting the proper public education, meaning mathematics, science, history, English, arts, language, in addition to embracing those that definitely need social emotional learning. Maybe they have an IE plan, incorporating anybody with special needs to make sure that they're getting the services that they need. That is what public education is about. Public education is not about now becoming a medical facility of testing. I was flabbergasted the other night to see that this district spent over $100,000 on test kits so everyone can have 8. Stop the testing. Stop the testing. You don't break immune. You don't get into an immunity situation and building that immunity and herd immunity by continually testing people. Testing people only adds more fear. And what happens is now you get know-it-alls, people that have got nothing better to do than talk about people and ask them, you know, oh, did you get tested? You know, but, you know, I can tell you right now, some of the side effects of having the virus, guess what? There are other illnesses that also have the same side effects. And it is a travesty that so many people are derailing their health and wellness because they can't get seen by a doctor. There are people that should be having testing that they're not having it done. They're calling it, calling it elected. And you've got people that, could be suffering from cancer right now and that are not getting proper treatment because it's considered, elective. This nonsense has got to stop. And the only way to stop it is stop complying. Stop complying. If someone says it's highly suggested to wear a mask, don't flip and wear it. You don't need it. Masks don't work. If you're going to get the virus, you're going to get the virus. Deal with it. It is what it is. You can't stop the common cold. You can't stop the flu. These things are going to come after you. So what you do is, okay, got to make sure my immune system's built up, let my body get rest, common sense. But what I find very almost laughable is those that want to self-diagnose other people. Because now you're implying that their brain is not capable of saying, hey, I don't feel my best. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to get rest. I'm going to support my system with a lot of vitamins, supplements, fluids, body rest. You're making the assumption that the person is too stupid to take care of themselves. Stop that. Stop it.
Well, the other thing too is if we're supposed to, here's a question, if we're supposed to be following the science, why the hell aren't people following the science? Things that make you go, if, the person occupying 1600 there, that's somebody who's been in politics for how long? Again, if we are not following the science, well, no wonder why I can understand to a certain degree why people are confused or not sure what to do. Let's just say Dr. Fakeness there, his name isn't even worth saying. How can you make an educated decision with all the BS out there? I mean, I understand that it may be difficult, but when we put ourselves in the position of being, we need to do what's right for us. And we know that masks don't work. I know in certain situations, yes, you have to wear a mask. For instance, being on an airplane, if I want to travel via airplane, that's what I have to do. I get it. I have to go along with that. Okay. But think about, but then you think about being, standing in line, waiting to go through, security and all that. And now you're going for a couple hours, you're going to be in a, basically in a tin can with other people flying. So, where do you draw the line, and I get that things can be very confusing with that. Let's follow the science. Let's, do what we feel what is right, for ourselves, after maybe we've had that discussion with our healthcare provider, if you're more comfortable doing that, to kind of solidify how you feel and just do what is right for you, following the science, of course, following the lead from your healthcare provider. So much more I can say on this subject for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will, I have not heard back from the person that's actually organizing this. So as soon as I get the name, she's working on the advertisement anyway. So it is going to be on Monday night. So that much I know, at 8 o'clock. I just received that information, and we will make sure that we broadcast that out, because it is something that, everyone should understand what's going on in the school systems. And part of it could be that people, they just don't know. They don't think that it's reached that kind of a level where it's alarming. It is. And this is going across the United States everywhere. This is not something just that Massachusetts is dealing with. Obviously, most people have heard about Virginia. They were really the forefront in really making change. So much so that they elected a new Republican governor. And the one thing that I want to stress to people when you're dealing with this, it's not about politics. It's not about red or blue. It's about children getting proper education without being indoctrinating into ideologies, political propaganda, opinions, bias. That it has no place in education.
It certainly does not. And on that note, we were certainly, as Carol said, we will keep you posted as far as that goes. And, you know, how are you going to make Friday fantabulous with everything going on, the weather, the politics, the this, the that. So much more I could say, but on that note, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I am with
TwoSistas, and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, feeling better on the mend. Excited for the show coming up. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for a Mindset Monday, and that will be like all the breaking news of what is going on for that night. So we're super excited. Have a great weekend. Bundle up, stay warm, stay healthy. Talk to you on Monday.
Bye.